going to be very important to be thanking, right now I want to, give thanks to Iran, the United States, and all of our neighbor countries because our health, our successes is because we keep that great relationships worldwide, internationally. That is disease prevention. Them taking care of themselves and following the rules that we all have to follow together, making sure everybody is under healthy living standards, making sure all landscape is up to par, making sure that everybody's increasing those wages healthy in every business. By law, every employee $10-$20 every pay period for a guaranteed wage increase every 3 months, and that never stops. And we need all businesses school themed, always learning new languages, always building, cleaning with each other, everything, making sure that everybody stays used to each other at all times. And we must have all of the animals regularly showered, the ones that are on land, and all marine life in the oceans. Make sure that we make sure it's clean and they're fed and their foods are replanted. So I was doing some research and analyzing on that interview that I had with farmers. You can view it on YouTube. It was very horrific what happened to the animals when the pandemic happened. The farmer was mentioning her animals caught bugs going into their nose, and over time the bugs were eating the animals' brains on the goats. And then over time they started like getting all dizzy until they really died, and the farmer took it to the doctors, and the doctors was expressing that it wasn't just this particular farmer, all of the farmers were going through this. So as I started to calculate my conclusion on, hey, why did this happen when bugs are always going to be, right? We got to make sure that you understand when you misdistribute your attention, you also got to understand that the environments become poor. So when the environments become poor, it makes the animals unhealthy. It affects the overall health of the animals. So it's very, very important to understand this. So the fact that the environment was poor due to the pandemic, because people aspirate, right? So then certain climate changes become humidified where they're not used to being humidity climates or environments. So it invites certain species and animals to be there. And farming, you'll know that when harvesting, the climate is dry. It's a different climate to sustain that harvest and feed and livestock. But when the environment's not okay, then different parts of where climate changes, where you'll not necessarily see that type of environment happen, So that's why it explains what happened to the animals when the pandemic happened. So that's why I need all police, military, border patrol, and corrections with detainees building for the detainees first. They want to keep living in their house, they build, they keep building with the rest and with the rest of the community. And then we start building side by side. It builds trust, it builds understanding, and it builds healthier environments. And this is very, very important because this is going to eliminate all crime. So it's very important to always remain in that right path. All right? And you stay focused on that right path. And then you'll notice how our animals won't become that problem that creates disease in us. I want to be very, very clear that you need to get all that shit out of your head. And I want you to understand how important you are as an individual, a normal, every single day employee. I want you to know and understand your importance. You are desperately needed. Now we need healthy teamwork and to always increase those wages in a healthy manner. Always. And you're gonna listen because I've always been on your payroll. And it's mandatory by law. And it's no secret. We don't need anybody dictating this and that. And then you're even noticing, if you want to be trying to think you're above the law, you even notice in certain businesses that you get restricted. God is the only one that's going to ease access. People have families to provide for. We're not going to be entertaining any of your shit when there's a whole world to keep healthy. So now we understand who bullshits when they talk about money laundering, when they do, like, that's literally somebody that should be put in prison. Whoever's like harassing people that care for the consumption when they know where you're going to be. And then a lot of times you're giving them, like you're just lying to them. And then like we get nowhere. When in reality, if you really want the streets clean, you'll legalize all drugs, healing plants, brews, age restriction. Now everything's organized. Now it's cared for with the proper hands. And everybody that has their hands on it, they get employed side by side with us. So that law that was created was full of shit. Just like that law back then when you legalized synthetic marijuana. And that was known to kill people. Just like you let synthetic opioids out into the streets because you, as a lawmaker, want to fall short on these judgments. And it all comes from foods. The chemical is a conclusion of an overall reaction of a mixture of balances and measurements of different solutions of extract on a variety of subjects. And subjects could be food, animals, DNA. When it goes to its form of synthesis, metamorphosis, and then in that time frame, you extract from the subject, then you understand that anything, even eating greasing foods, would act as a steroid if you continue to always have that as your go-to diet. So it all comes down to you needing to educate yourself properly, because that's how you're getting caught within our government agencies, being very uneducated, being hard-headed, and not willing to understand that people are not taking shortcuts on making sure the streets and all of our consumptions are cared for. Because in reality, there's nothing that is not passed or stamped without jurisdiction of our government. So stop playing with your health, stop playing with the people, and stop playing with Iran, stop playing with the US, stop playing with each other. So we already have equity that we've seen, and this is all from God. Real life, real time equity of noticing that there's certain individuals that hide behind us, and then they're uneducated. They don't even know how to keep the streets clean. So they adapt to shitty equipment, unorthodox methods, just to adapt to shitty narratives. That's it. Just to adapt to shitty narratives. Not even to adapt by the better today that we see. Because you wanted to be taken serious, and that's exactly what you always see. So there's going to be a lot of laws that are only going to be used for education and reminders to keep the peace, to bring understanding. You don't always have to go out patrolling. I mean, you can use it as the good word on social media so people can always be reminded, but in real life, you're going to be building with the detainees, and you're going to be in corrections. This builds trust, understanding. This is how you effectively, in real time, effectively eliminate all crime. And you don't have to see anybody dish out any harmful drugs that they're unaware of for a quick buck, and then if you don't even do the drug, it's like you're doing it because it's out there and people are aspirating. That's why I'm seeing a lot of wealthy people and people that lack nothing in life, and their lips are widening. You guys look pale, you guys look rotten, and people don't understand why. Well, it all comes down to making sure you understand that it's very, very important that everybody follows mandatory healthcare guidelines by law on increasing those wages every 3 months in the healthiest way. Every employee $10, $20 every pay period for a guaranteed wage increase every 3 months, all right? And that never stops. And then also having a building cleaning team. We need everybody around the world with the same idea, the same mindset, same mission to guarantee a better quality of life. Something worth protecting, something worth living in. Because people are wanting to go desk money, make a quick buck, the easiest way. Dude, it's so easy nowadays to make a bigger buck with less to little to no effort. And we understand that. Even the ones that are desperately needed in the restaurants waiting, we all can do that. Am I right? But we're going through it because we know how to take care of our investments. So it's very important that every single citizen everywhere in the world understands how to protect your investments. Because That's exactly what it is. They don't know where your parents and your loved ones invested. You have to go to the grocery store and keep them healthy. There's vehicles that you didn't necessarily want and they looked ugly, but then you got it anyways because they have to be healthy too. Dude, these are sacrifices that every single day people go through just to make sure that you're healthy. Because then it derails great progress, and then they're left with doing unorthodox things unseen, and then it keeps from the world being healthy. Just like when you notice the credit bureaus, taxpayer money, always building, always re-educating in different accounts to make sure that everybody is in great standing. And we are working every single day through labor, through every single day expenses, through purchases. So please understand your importance, understand your value, and understand that it's very important to indirectly teach sometimes, to lead by example, a better example for a better today, because our kids are watching, and you don't want to be consumed by those that you weren't constant with. It only takes one very toxic narrative and careless way to have somebody think that that's what it is, and then it spreads like wildfire. So it's very, very important to make sure everything is known, everything stays accessible. There's no information anywhere in the world that is not accessible to the masses and everybody. Stop conflicting over unnecessary things. I know how to never see it, even if you think this person's doing something that they shouldn't, this person's doing nothing that they shouldn't. I know how to completely never see it. Just with the rest of the world. You lead by example and make sure you always remind them on how shit is shit and how a great life is a great life when you care for everybody's surroundings and the animal surroundings. And that's how you eliminate all diseases overall, and making sure everybody's under healthy living standards and they could afford a nice, healthy, comfortable living. Because what's going to happen, like we saw, was people are going to go off commission, go off, just purchasing and a bigger buck. What starts to happen is we lack builders. We lack those motivated to keep on building, to keep on doing this labor work that is desperately needed for our overall health. You can go ahead and go be a doctor, do all of this and that, where the code never, get dirty. But somebody's going to have to be making those supplies. Somebody's going to also have to keep you healthy and clean. And that comes along with always reminding that right direction. Making sure everybody's under healthy living standards. Because if you keep on adapting to sick, then what's going to happen is our needed doctors are going to get sick, because that's like a hotspot for sick patients. And that's what happened. And then they just went along down with the sick patients. So there's an overall balance that always needs to be remembered, in making sure that nobody has time for war or conflict out there. We're trying to go very, very healthy to the next planet. So please understand how you got blessed to the present day. We do not want to see the environment keep on being unhealthy and hazy. Like if you're going through a fucking menage when you don't fucking have to. So stay focused, because nobody cares about this person, that person, if they're not going to be all right. And it always comes from the people. Everybody matters. They had shitty examples on their alone time. Well, with corrections, they'll be taken on that right path. Everyone building with each other, bringing understanding, building trust. And everybody must be left alone in privacy, room to grow, room to build their own character and personalities. Don't confuse yourself. Making sure all funds are distributed equally, because they need to remain healthy. If they're not being paid healthy and correctly, then they get sick and they take you down with them. And that's just natural life consequences when you become careless of the people you desperately need to keep on becoming a great, reliable asset to your company. It all starts with the initial fund, and then, so you won't be like, out of budget, out of range all the time, and then, you get me? You do that healthy wage increase, and then you just do what it does. And you just keep on spreading the good word, advertising, nothing changed. Now you know your margins you're working with, so nothing changes, and you already have that healthy wage increase going on a separate account for healthcare, so for your business. And now you just focus on what's really, really important. Now you can afford every equipment. Now you can afford the luxury of time to really process critical thinking, architecting, and dude, you're gonna love your lives. And a lot of, law officials, you're gonna love your life way even more. Way more, way more. And that's just always what it's been. I don't know who's team lead in your facility or whatever, but I mean, it's all education, all right? You leave it in PT. When you come in the real world, we make sure everybody is under great living standards and they're following the rules, mandatory healthcare guidelines on increasing wages, cleaning our waters together. That's how you effectively eliminate all crime, and that's when everybody understands. And again, once this video is presented to the world, all conflict and war is done with God. And that's just what it is. God bless.